All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Money Making Monday to everybody out there who's joining me for today's NBA live stream. I appreciate everybody who I see up in the chat already talking some NBA player props, already mentioning some of the picks and plays that they're really liking this morning. Love the enthusiasm, love the energy that you're bringing to the live stream today. So thank you so much for joining me. Now, if you have never been here before, my name's CJ. Thank you so much for joining me on today's NBA live stream. We're going to be looking at some points, rebounds, assists, fantasy score, points and rebounds and assists, 3-point makes, and free throws made. There's lots of different ways for you to play NBA daily fantasy sports and prop picks over on PrizePicks. So if you don't play on PrizePicks yet, you get a 100% instant deposit match when you use promo code Curry, meaning they're going to go dollar for dollar, matching you all the way up to $100, making your first entry on PrizePicks completely risk-free. Completely risk-free. Use the link down in the description below or use the promo code. You see it floating above my head here. Promo code Curry. Get you that 100% instant deposit match. Thank you for all the likes that I'm seeing in here. Guys, we're on our way to 4,100 subscribers. Listen, it seems like just yesterday we were talking about going past 4,000 subscribers, where we're already on our way to 4.1K. Now, there's a tweet out on my Twitter account, at Curry the Creator. I have it pinned to the top of my profile. There's still time. I'm still giving away one of these PrizePicks dad hats, okay, for a celebration, so to speak, for passing 4,000 subscribers. There's still time for you to go follow me on Twitter, like and retweet the tweet that is pinned at the top of my profile. I'm going to select one of you guys to win one of these very fine, very spiffy dad caps. Okay? So thank you so much for everybody that's joining me this morning. Thank you for the continued support, all the likes, all the subs, all the retweets, and all the things that you guys do. It means a lot to me. Now, how did your weekend go? Hopefully it went well. For me, it was a fantastic weekend. My bankroll, very, very healthy right now. It's sitting in a very good spot. If you're a member of Patreon and you are active in the Discord, you will win money. Okay? Okay. It's just going to happen. It's going to happen. I promise you. You got to be active inside of Discord, though. So if you're a Patreon member, it is very, very important that you're active inside of Discord, because there's picks and plays that are being shared kind of on the whim, on the fly, that don't always make it out to Patreon. It's just the way that it goes. There's other members out there, sharp players, who are sharing their favorite entries, sharing their favorite picks inside of Discord, inside of Patreon. So I had a good weekend across MMA. UFC was bomb diggity. All right. Had a great MMA weekend, had a great NBA weekend, had a great NFL weekend. We got it done across 3 different sports. So if you're a Patreon member, don't sit back on the sidelines quietly in the shadows. Make sure you're in the Discord community. Make sure you're in the NBA channel, the NFL channel, the MMA channel. Make sure you're in the Post Your Picks channel, where we post and share all of our favorite entries, and that you're an active, engaged member of the community. That's the only way that you're going to get the most out of your Patreon membership. All right? Michael, thank you for the like and the retweet. I appreciate that, my friend. So my point is, it was a very good weekend for me. Very profitable, very, very prosperous weekend. And I'm looking to continue with that momentum here on Money Making Monday. Only 4 games on today's NBA slate. Not a ton of NBA action. I think there was like 11 games yesterday, something crazy. The NFL games were absolutely wild. I hope you guys enjoyed those. I ran a Patreon exclusive promo. Basically, for every touchdown that was being thrown by a quarterback from yesterday's games, I'm giving money away. All right. $10 a pop for every touchdown being thrown. I'm giving $10 a pop to a random member. So you saw how many Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes ended up throwing. That means I'm going to have to reach into my pocket and give some of you fine Patreon members some winnings, some cash gifts. And I'll make sure I get to that today. So we're giving away PrizePicks dad caps. We're giving away actual cold hard cash in Patreon. We're helping people make money in Discord. So listen, it's not all about me. I'm trying to give back to you guys as much as possible. So I appreciate everybody and the continued support. Chill Robots, I was not at the game last night, unfortunately, but I did see that the Orlando Magic kicked Nikola Vucevic and the Chicago Bulls in the butt and got that dub. ZXR Skills, good to see you. Let's get this W tonight. Love that. King Chris, member of our Patreon Discord community. It says, great weekend of NFL playoffs, the greatest of all time, actually. Every game was decided by the last play, rather. Unreal. Yeah, fantastic NFL slate. Desmond says, let's get it. He hit his first 12.5x payout yesterday. Love it, man. I love to hear that. Those 12.5ers are nice. And those 15x that you can get with NFL, super nice as well. Alexander says the NBA is going to be paying up tonight. Love that energy. JW says good morning. Good morning back to you. Jen, good morning. CJ, some crazy NFL this weekend. Absolutely. Wild games. Indeed. Jack, good to see you as well. Good morning. Kyle, doubled up yesterday on NFL. Let's get it today. We will absolutely be getting down to business. Travis says, what's up? Smash the like button. Thank you, Travis, for the support. Ronald's Green, Mr. Solid, Mr. Steady and Consistent, back again with the what's up. So what's up to you as well, Ronald? Royster Cam, yo, Denzel Brown needs a hot streak this week. Let's get it. All right, we'll get it. Don P, 111, Everyday Fantasy, a.k.a. Everyday Fantasy. Good morning to CJ, Patreon peeps, and everybody in the live stream. This is the best place for prize picks, period. Love that, man. Thank you so much for those kind words. Contract Killer says he lost about $1,000 in 5 days. Man, maybe we got to scale back a little bit. Maybe we got to flex a little bit more and less power picks, power plays. Might have to adjust your strategy a little bit. Scale back on the entries and maybe do a little more flexing until we kind of get things right. Gang Robber Heart Mask. Heart group room word. I don't know what that means. He says, hi, yo, what up? Hi, yo, what up to you as well. Papiga Clap's already leaving a Jonas Valanciunas rebound prop that he's liking. Good to see that. Goat jumping back into prize picks today, ready to 25K profit. Wow. Zebo, what it do? How you been, Zebo? I ain't seen you in a minute. How you been, Zebo? Thanks for joining us. Magic's in the building. Busy time. Good to see you. Donato Lombardi. Love that name, man. That is different. I love that name. What's up to you, Donato Lombardi? That just sounds like winning. You have like a winning name with Lombardi at the end of your name. Come on now. Kevin, yo. Aaron Rodgers is in the building, already leaving some picks and plays. King United. Do I know anything about the tennis sale? No, I don't. Chat, if you guys know anything about this Rafael Nadal total games prop that they're running right now on a promo, please shed some light, some insight. If you follow tennis, I do not. This is going on for another like 46 minutes. He's at 14% off of his original projection. Is this a good prop to tail or not? I got no idea. I'm going to keep it real. I'm not a tennis aficionado by any means. Don't know anything about tennis, but drop a like if you're feeling this Prize Picks promo prop right here. Are we taking the over or the under on this play? I would assume you're trying to take the over if you're going to take it anyway. I don't know that I am, though. I don't know anything about tennis, so I'm like, I don't know what to do with this. Michael says, what's up, CJ? Need something to pair with Rafael Nadal's prop? Yeah. I have no clue. I don't even know if I should be taking this or not. Total games at 32.5. Don't even know what that means. Completely ignorant when it comes to tennis. Newsom Jones, what's up? Jay Brown, what's happening to you? And Tom says, I lost unlimited money yesterday. Rest in peace to my Bucks. Got in a brawl and got some Rams fans kicked out. Holy crap, dude. What a game. Man, that sounds like a rough time. Wes, what's happening to you, my brother? Jimmy Green's in the building. Good morning, Jimmy Green. Kenlin says, this weekend was good with some football picks. Love to hear that. Thomas, good morning to you, a.k.a. Fred Dog. I know who you are, my friend. I know who you are. Andrew Vihande, how you doing, my friend? Good to see you. Let's get to the bag. Caden says, Money Monday. Money making Monday for sure. Denny go crazy. Hey, Denny, what's happening? We got birthday props today. What does that mean, birthday props? You got to let me know. Isaac, shout out to you. Brooks, let's get down to business, guys. We're up to 44 likes. Appreciate the love and support. I do not know what's happening with this Rafael Nadal prop. I'm guessing it's good. I mean, it's a discount, right? It's a sale. I'm guessing we want to take the over on it. I just don't know. I got the faintest idea when it comes to this tennis stuff. Keyshawn says, first time here. Welcome, Keyshawn. Always down for some first timers. Thanks for being here. Hopefully you subscribe, like, and join us in future live streams. You're ready to make some money? So are we. So let's go ahead and get down to it, guys. 4 games. Enough of the hellos. I could say hello to you guys and chat it up and talk it up all day long. Yes, the NFL needs to change their overtime rules. It sucks that Josh Allen and the Bills played as well as they did and didn't have a chance because of a stupid coin flip to get back out on the field. It sucks. It really does suck. So yeah, hopefully they review that and we get something that's a little bit more, balanced, we'll say, so that it doesn't come down to dumb luck, a coin flip, in other words. Yeah, not a big fan of that. Anyways, NBA, 4 games. Let's take a look and see what we got going. We got the New York Knicks at the Cleveland Cavaliers this game. 202-point total. Very low total here, guys. Not a lot of points expected to be scored between these two teams. 6.5-point spread. This one kind of looks a little ugly here on paper. If we look at the New York Knicks side of things, we got Kemba Walker, Mitchell Robinson, both as game time decisions. Derrick Rose and Arcia Diacono. Ooh, I don't know. Anyway, he doesn't matter. They're both out. Over on the Cleveland Cavaliers side, Rajon Rondo is a game time decision. We got Colin Sexton, Ricky Rubio, Nembhard, and Markkanen out. So the big ones there obviously going to be Lauri Markkanen, who's been a fixture in the Cleveland Cavaliers lineup. But this game's looking pretty ugly here. Like I said, barely over 200 combined points with a 6.5-point spread. Tread lightly. Tread lightly if you're going to be taking any props from that game. The next game, 215-point total. We got the Indiana Pacers visiting the New Orleans Pelicans. 215 on the board here, 3-point spread in favor of the home team. The New Orleans Pelicans. Got to keep an eye on some news in this game. Lots of impactful news. Karis LeVert, game time decision out already for Indiana is McConnell, Warren, Brogdon, Sabonis, and Turner. No Brogdon, no Sabonis, no Turner. It's going to be the Karis LeVert show. Now, my man Chris Duarte has been balling. He's been playing some good basketball. So has Goga Bitadze. So maybe we go to Goga. It could be Goga time. We'll have to figure that out. The New Orleans Pelicans side of things, Devontae Graham is a game time decision. Lewis Jr. Williamson, Brandon Ingram. That's a big one. Brandon Ingram is out tonight for the New Orleans Pelicans. So, lots of injury news from that game. Going to be a wild one. 9 p.m. brings us the Utah Jazz at the Phoenix Suns. More injury news here. This whole slate, by the way, filled with impactful injury news. Filled with a lot of marquee names sitting out tonight for their respective teams. Got to stay on top of the news today. 221.5 implied points here. The Phoenix Suns are 9-point favorites at home. Another one that's teetering on the line of being a blowout. Potentially, right? Looking at the Utah side of things, Rudy Gobert, Hassan Whiteside, Michael Conley Jr., Bogdanovich, all game time decisions. That's like their entire starting lineup. Donovan Mitchell's already ruled out. So right now, their projected starting lineup, Joe Ingles, Jordan Clarkson. We don't know if Bogdanovich is in or out. Royce O'Neal, and we don't know about Rudy Gobert. He could be out as well. He's dealing with a calf strain, apparently. On the flip side of things, DeAndre Ayton is a game time decision. Right now, it looks like it's JaVale McGee, man in the middle for the Phoenix Suns. Jay Crowder already ruled out, so he's probably the biggest piece of injury news. So it's going to be a weird slate, guys. I already have a feeling that I'm going to be going light. I'm going to tread lightly on this slate. There's just a lot of big names that are sitting out for their teams. There's a lot of names that are game time decisions. Going to be one of those games, or one of those nights, rather, where you want to stay on top of the news. You want to stay on top of the news. 8 p.m., Chicago Bulls at the Oklahoma City Thunder. Maybe this is my favorite game out of them all, and that's not saying a whole lot. 215.5 implied point total, 2-point spread in favor of the visiting team, the Chicago Bulls. So pretty healthy total here. Game looks like it's going to stay close and competitive. Keep an eye on Zach LaVine. LaVine currently game time decision. Lonzo Ball, we know he's got a torn meniscus. He's out. Alex Caruso apparently broke his wrist thanks to Grayson Allen and that hard flagrant 2 foul that he laid on Alex Caruso. So again, this Chicago Bulls backcourt, pretty thin here. Hopefully they get LaVine back. They could use his services in the worst way right now. In the worst way. Oklahoma City Thunder, not a lot of impactful injury news there. They're going to pretty much have their same cast of characters that they've been running out for the last few games here. Giddey, SGA, Dort, Wiggins, not Andrew Wiggins, Aaron Wiggins, and Jay Jeremiah Robinson Earl. So kind of an ugly slate, guys. Kind of an ugly slate. That's just how I'm feeling about it upon first look here. Tons and tons of injury news to stay on top of. Tons. A Daryl McBurney says, CJ, you that dude, bro. Good morning. Have a great day yesterday. Love your live stream. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate the support. I appreciate the energy, the positivity, the kind words that you're leaving. We're all on the same team here. We're all trying to help each other win. So let's see if we could do that. Let's go ahead and refresh our projection site here, which is Action Labs, which is a part of Fantasy Labs. In case you weren't aware, maybe this is your first time seeing this sort of thing. But let's get down to some scoring props here. First guy we're going to talk about, Darius Garland. How could we not? Darius Garland, been one of the hottest guards in the game over the last 5 to 10 games. He's just been balling. Ever since Colin Sexton went down, really, and Ricky Rubio ended up going down, Darius Garland really has thrived, really has flourished for this Cleveland Cavaliers team. He's at 20.5 points on PrizePicks, which is where we're seeing him out across the industry, 20.5 points. So no value today. No 19.5 for Garland. I think he's at 20.5 pretty much everywhere you can play player props. Over the last 10 games, 60% hit rate, meaning he's been going over 20.5 points in 6 out of his last 10 games. Not a bad hit rate. Things get even better when you look at the 5-game snapshot here. At 20.5 points, has gone over 20.5 points in 4 out of 5 games. That's an 80% hit rate, averaging just a shade under 25 points per game. So again, Garland, been absolutely balling. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to look at Fantasy Pros here. They provide this free little DVP, defense versus position chart. And then you've got the opportunity here to change the game recency. You could look at the entire season, how many points, rebounds, assists, your favorite player prop that these defenses, these teams are giving up on a per game basis to different positions. So you can look at that from a season standpoint, last 30 games, last 15, last 7. I'm going to look at the last 7 games, a more recent sample size, and see how many points per game that the New York Knicks are giving up to opposing point guards. So we don't have to go down very far. The Knicks, in terms of defending the point guard position, they're giving up nearly 26 points per game. Nearly 26 points per game to the point guard position. So that puts them as the ninth most points allowed over the last 7 games to point guards. So I think Darius Garland so far, matchup-wise, is looking like a good play here. Now, if you think this game blows out or gets out of hand, what I suggest, you might want to play it in a first half only format. Nothing wrong with that. I don't mind you doing that to mitigate some risk, to mitigate the potential blowout that could happen here. Okay? At 20.5 points, I got him projected for 20.8. I'm seeing him on 4 different sites, 4 different sports books, minus 125 betting favorite to go over, minus 130 betting favorite to go over. So the money already coming in kind of hot here on the over for Darius Garland at 20.5 points. So there you go. That's one play, one pick for you to consider. Now you could also maybe look at his teammate here, Jarrett Allen, at 13.5 points. Over the last 10 games, it's been a mixed bag here. It's been up or down for Jarrett Allen. He's covered 13.5 points over the last 10 games at a 50% clip, so not a super high hit rate. To be honest with you, looking at the board today, in terms of the last 10 games and point props, I'm not seeing a lot of guys that are hitting at a very high rate. A lot of these hit rates are pretty darn low. They're pretty ugly. So let's take a look at Jarrett Allen here. Maybe he's got a decent matchup. Center position, we'll go find the New York Knicks. We got to go down a ways, because the New York Knicks, in terms of center defense, they're giving up about 21.5 points, which you can see kind of puts them in the middle of the pack, but down toward the middle of the pack. So they're not like one of these teams up at the top like the Clippers, who are giving up over 31 real-life points per game to centers over the last 10 games. They are not one of the top teams. They're down toward the bottom. You can kind of see where they rank, right? So the Knicks could be a tough night out here for Jarrett Allen. He'll be likely facing off against the likes of Mitchell Robinson, Julius Randle. We've got to wait and see. We don't know about Mitchell Robinson's status just yet. Jarrett Allen projected, though, for 15 points, and he is a betting favorite across a couple of different sites here at minus 120, minus 125 betting odds. So we're not getting that value that we were getting in previous days where PrizePicks would put a point prop up at like 12.5 instead of 13.5. They're definitely more in line here lately with some of these other sports betting sites. So could be a tough night for Jarrett Allen. Other guys, I mean, maybe you go Evan Mobley if you don't like Jarrett Allen quite as much. Again, it's been up and down with a lot of these Cleveland Cavaliers players, with a lot of these players in general. It's just been a mixed bag here. Mixed bag. So let's move ahead and we'll talk about some rebound props. Small slate, as I mentioned before, probably want to go light. But before, hold on a second. Before we move on to the rebound props, my man David Winker, aka Who Dat, has a play that he has dropped in the form of a super chat. David is asking about or mentioning Herbert Jones points without Brandon Ingram. He says he's playing the over, but he's not sure what to pair it with. We'll be waiting on news. All right, so he brings up a pretty fascinating point here. With somebody like Brandon Ingram out of the lineup, guys will likely be thrust into bigger roles. Maybe one of those guys is Herbert Jones. Without Brandon Ingram around, somebody's going to have to pick up the slack. We're also waiting on Devontae Graham news. Devontae Graham could be out as well. So this could be a bump up for Herbert Jones. Could be a bump up for Jonas Valanciunas. Could be a bump up for this guy, Josh Hart, who has shown some pretty good scoring punch in the past. So you mentioned Herbert Jones. Let's take a look at it. One way that you could do this is by using StatMuse. Pretty easy to do this. You would just go Herbert Jones points without Brandon Ingram logs. Now we know Ingram's missed some games this season. All of these game logs are from this season, by the way. So he's at 11.5 points. He would need 12, obviously, if we're looking to take the over. So out of the 6 games without Brandon Ingram, he's covered 11.5 points in 1, 2, 3. So he's 3 out of 6. It's a 50% hit rate. It's a 50% hit rate for Herbert Jones. He'll be at the power forward, small forward position, going up against Indiana, who's pretty depleted. We talked about no Miles Turner, no Domantas Sabonis, no Malcolm Brogdon. So they're going to have a weird cast of characters in their front court and manning their wing positions. But let's go ahead and take a look at this matchup here. We'll go find Indiana against the power forward position over the last 7 games. Listen, they're giving up the first fewest points per game to opposing power forwards. And that's probably a lot of games with Sabonis, some games with Turner. Those guys won't be in there tonight. So this matchup could be a little softer, could be a little bit easier for somebody like Herbert Jones. So pretty tough against the power forward position over the last 7 games. Let's take a look at the small forward position. Indiana, a lot more giving here over the last 7 games at the small forward position, giving up the first most points per game to small forwards over the last 7 games. So where do you think Herbert Jones falls in? Is he more of a 3 or is he more of a 4 with Brandon Ingram out of the lineup? Things get a lot better at the small forward position when it comes to points per game versus the power forward position when it comes to points per game. So, not sure what's going to happen here. We got to wait on some of the injury news. Maybe Devontae Graham. Devontae Graham ends up sitting out as well. Let's just take a look while we're digging into some of these questions here. Let's look at Josh Hart points. Josh Hart points without Brandon Ingram. Let's see if maybe he gets a little bit more of a boost, a bump. So he's at 14.5 points. Just looking at this season, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games Josh Hart has played without Brandon Ingram in the lineup. So how many times has he covered 14.5 points? 1, 2, 3. So not a crazy high hit rate for him either. Now without Brandon Ingram and Devontae Graham, then I really start to like Josh Hart a little bit more. And maybe he's not the greatest in terms of points, but you can see how he fills up the other stat categories. So rebounds, assists. So I think maybe looking at these guys in terms of a fantasy point play could be a good look as well. Let's look at fantasy score. Oh, they're not giving us any of the Pelicans. Come on. they're not giving us any of the Pelicans. But anyway, Josh Hart, in terms of fantasy point production, pretty good because he's that type of player that does a little bit of everything. So depending on where they put his fantasy point prop at, if we get it at all, right now we don't have it. They decided not to give us that. He might be worth a look as a fantasy point play instead of a point play. All right. So still some moving parts and pieces here for this New Orleans Pelicans in the news. Got to, pay attention to Devontae Graham. He'll be the big question mark, the big what if. So let's move it on over to rebounds. David, appreciate you leaving that super chat as always. Dan T says, good morning, CJ and crew. Thanks, Dan, for being here. Nick is up in the building saying that apparently PrizePicks has quick withdrawals, or they've gotten quicker on their withdrawals. That's good. That's good, right? Sean says, we need NBA CJ on the weekends. Well, I was NFL CJ on Saturday. Well, Saturday and Sunday. I made a Saturday live stream. We did a Saturday live stream for NFL. And, it covered both the Saturday games and the Sunday games for NFL. But, at some point, you got to take care of business, right? Real life. It's hard to run a community. It's hard to run a YouTube channel pumping out content daily. Like at some point, you got to unplug, man. You got a wife and you got a family. You got the things you got to take care of in life. I can't be on here every day doing this every, single minute. So it's all about balance, man. That's what I recommend to everyone. Find balance in your life. All right, let's go ahead and talk about some rebound props here. We talked Darius Garland's points. I think Darius Garland's rebounds, if you could take him somewhere, you can't take him on PrizePicks because he's not up on the PrizePicks board at 3.5 rebounds. But if he was, he would be definitely in play for me. 70% hit rate over the last 10 games for Darius Garland at 3.5 rebounds. Jared Allen, 10.5 rebounds. He is up on the PrizePicks board. Last 10 games have been pretty good for him. 60% hit rate. We talked about his points. Maybe you don't like his points as much. Maybe you like the rebounds a little bit more here for Jared Allen. 10.5 boards over the last 5 games. He is covered in 3 out of 5, averaging 12.4 rebounds per game during that span. So let's go to the center position. Let's go to rebounds and see how many rebounds per game the Knicks have been giving up to opposing bigs over the last 7 games. We got to scroll down, man. The Knicks have a pretty tough front court here. The numbers don't lie. They're giving up the second fewest rebounds per game to the center position over the last 7 games. So do you think that maybe Jared Allen under 10.5 rebounds is in play tonight? We don't talk a lot about unders. We like playing the overs because they're a lot more fun to cheer for and root for. But Jared Allen going up against the team allowing the second fewest rebounds per game, maybe it's worth playing. You also have this game at a very low total here. Not a lot of points going to be scored. Slow pace between these two teams. Very slow pace. So dare we take the under on Jared Allen? That is the question. I got his rebound projection at 10.8 boards, but listen, 3 different books, 3 different sites. People are taking the under on Jared Allen at 10.5 boards. He is a betting favorite at -120 and even -125 odds to go under 10.5 rebounds against this New York Knicks squad. And you could take things a step further here. The way you could do that is by using StatMuse. Jared Allen rebounds versus Knicks logs. You can see kind of his output, 2 games, both from, 1 game from this season, 1 game from last season. So 2 games in his game logs as a member of the Cavaliers. Back on January 29th, almost exactly a year ago, he had just 9 rebounds in 26 minutes. But back on November 7th, which was from this season, last year, but this season, he had 18 points and 17 boards. Had a pretty strong game against the Knicks. So I don't know. I mean, maybe he's more of an underplay today, given the circumstances of this game, and you don't go over. Jimmy says, hey, we appreciate everything that you do. You're doing a great job. I appreciate it. Yeah. LA Trey says, I'm joining Patreon. Listen, I would love to have you join Patreon. I will say this, though. The month of January is almost over. So if you are interested in joining, you might want to wait till February 1st. Because the way that Patreon's set up, it will automatically renew on the 1st of the month. Okay? All right. Seth is saying you either play Jared Allen over or you don't play him at all because he is a monster. Listen, I think we're going to have to wait on the Mitchell Robinson news for the Knicks and see what happens with that. Because if Mitchell Robinson's out, we get Nerlens Noel or Taj Gibson, then I like Jared Allen more. I think Mitchell Robinson could make life difficult on Jared Allen if he plays. All right. Another guy maybe worth considering, not up on the board though, Mikal Bridges at 3.5 rebounds. At 3.5 boards, he has covered his rebound prop 60% of the time. This guy here also rebounds the basketball very well without DeAndre Ayton in the lineup. So if Ayton is out, then Devin Booker's rebounds are definitely in play for me. I think we've talked about it on a previous show. With Ayton out, Devin Booker at 4.5 rebounds had covered at a pretty high clip. Let's just do that search together right here, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. I think he's still in play at 5 rebounds if Ayton is out. So we go Devin Booker rebounds without Ayton logs. All right, and we're going to look at just this season. So we've got, let's count it together, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 game logs. 15 game logs, all right? So we're looking for 5 or more rebounds. How many times has he hit 5 or more rebounds in 15 games? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. This guy's 14 for 15 with 5 or more rebounds with DeAndre Ayton out of the lineup. Okay? 14 of 15. Nearly perfect, nearly 100% this season at covering 5 rebounds or more. You might end up in a tie or a push. You might. Or you might end up with a 7 rebound game like you did last game, a 10 rebound game like you had against the Clippers, 9 boards against New Orleans, 7 against Charlotte, 7 against OKC. That's why I say even at 5 rebounds, he's still in play for me. 14 out of 15 games without DeAndre Ayton. That's the key. Got to keep an eye on the news. If Ayton's out, Devin Booker, 5 rebounds, take the over. You just got to ride with it. 14 out of 15 games. You just got to ride with it. You cannot argue with the numbers and the results. All right. He is projected for 5.5 boards today. He is at 5.5 boards across 3 different sites, 3 different books. So at 5.5, they're betting the under, minus 135 to go under 5.5. I guess that's fair, but we're getting him at 5 on PrizePicks. So for me, I'm taking the over and hoping at the very worst, we tie with 5 rebounds. But 14 out of 15 games without DeAndre Ayton, Booker has hit 5 or more rebounds. The track record speaks for itself. Another guy that typically rebounds pretty well with DeAndre Ayton out of the lineup is Mr. CP3, Chris Paul. Now, his hit rates probably won't be quite as juicy as Devin Booker, but let's go ahead and take a look at it. And again, I'm going to keep reiterating, this is only if DeAndre Ayton is out tonight. Only if he is out tonight. We don't know yet. We're waiting. He is questionable, I believe, at the moment. So how many games do we have here from Chris Paul? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 games. CP3 without DeAndre Ayton. So we need at least 5 boards. Let's see how many out of 17 he's hit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 out of 17. Not as good as Devin Booker. I would probably take Booker at 5 rebounds over instead of that one, personally. I like Devin Booker a lot better. How about McGee? JaVale McGee rebounds. He's up at 8.5 boards. So he would need 9 or more. 9 or more. How many times has he done that this season? 1, 2, 3, 4? Yeah. Not a super good hit rate here for JaVale McGee. So Ray H is saying that Ayton is listed as doubtful. I don't know that he plays. I'm not super confident that we're going to see DeAndre Ayton here. So, I think we got to go back to Devin Booker at 5 rebounds. And maybe it pushes, maybe it ties, but, if it does, not the worst thing in the world. All right, let's go to the assist category. We've talked some rebounds now, talked some points. Let's see who's dropping dimes here. Got to talk Darius Garland once again, because this guy been one of the top assisters in the league over the last 5 games. 80% hit rate. You could see he's got assist totals of 18, 12, 12, and 11. So when we start talking about guys in multiple prop categories, we've talked Darius Garland's points, right? Now we're talking about his assists. I mentioned his high hit rate in rebounds. Points, rebounds, assists. Why does that? Oh, yeah, that's right. Points, rebounds, and assists is now a thing here on PrizePicks. So when we start talking about guys across multiple categories, then maybe we should be considering some Darius Garland PRA as well. All right, but we'll get to that in a minute. Let's talk and focus about his assists now. 18, 12, 12, and 11. 4 straight games where he's crushed 9.5 dimes. Let's go look at this matchup here. Garland versus the Knicks. Go to the point guard position. Go over to the assist column. Sort from most assists allowed to fewest assists allowed. Then we go find the New York Knicks. They're giving up about 7 dimes per game over the last 7 games. That's actually the 5th fewest. That is actually not so good for Darius Garland's outlook tonight at 9.5 dimes. Let's pull a projection up for him, though. Got him projected for 8.1 assists. Now, listen, he is at 8.5 assists. This is kind of weird because we typically don't see this. Normally, we're getting 1 point of value for the overplays on a lot of these single stat player props on PrizePicks. This is looking a little different. They've actually, PrizePicks, jacked Darius Garland up to 9.5 assists. He is at 8.5 on every other site, every other sports book out there. So it's almost encouraging us to take the under at 9.5 assists. So it's a point of value, but in the direction of an underplay. Do you feel comfortable taking the under on Darius Garland at 9.5 assists? Seeing him at 8.5 on most of your sports books out there. Now, I will say this, at 8.5, he's a betting favorite at minus 140 odds to go over 8.5. But we're getting him at 9.5. Do we dare take the under in a very difficult matchup? At least for assists and point guards. Knicks giving up the 5th fewest at about 7 assists per game. He is projected to go under 8.5 assists and 9.5 assists. He's projected for 8.1. Does he finally cool off and come crashing back down to earth? I don't know. I don't know anything. Nobody knows anything. We're doing our best to try and figure out the puzzle daily, though. Darius Garland's assists versus Knicks logs. Check this out. Let's see if we got, some sort of a sample size here. Now, this was back from November 7th of last year. So this season, but last year. Against the Knicks, played 35 minutes, had just 5 assists. But I will say, I believe Colin Sexton was probably healthy then. Ricky Rubio probably healthy then. His role has changed dramatically since November 7th. But his assist numbers historically against the Knicks, not very good. Doesn't look very good, does it? All right, I just wanted to take a look. Just wanted to take a peek. Let's go ahead and move over to another player here. Talk about some assist props. Chris Paul, the point god himself, at 9.5 assists. 70% hit rate for CP3 at 9.5 dimes. Over the last 5 games, 60% hit rate. So the hit rate's dropped a little bit. But he's at 10.8 assists over those last 5 games. Nearly 11 dimes dropped per game. Going up against Utah. We talked about Utah's injury issues. They are mounting. They have a ton of injury news pieces. Rudy Gobert, is he in or out? Hassan Whiteside, is he in or out? Michael Conley Jr., is he in or out? We know Donovan Mitchell's for sure out. And we also have Bogdanovich on the injury report. It's looking like a Joe Ingles and Jordan Clarkson kind of night for the Utah Jazz against the Phoenix Suns. So let's take a look at CP3 here going up against the Utah Jazz. How many assists per game do the Utah Jazz give up to point guards? They're the 3rd most stingiest in the assist category, the assist column, against point guards, giving up less than 7 assists per game. So is he a candidate for an under? He's dropped 12, 11, and 16 assists over the last 3 games. Tough matchup on paper, though. So he's kind of in a similar boat as Darius Garland. Let's pull up a projection for him. Got him projected for 10.4 assists. Now I'm seeing some mixed signals as far as where the money's coming in on the over or under across some of these sports books. We're seeing them betting as a betting favorite to go under on one site, minus 120, under 9.5. Then on another site, we're seeing them as a betting favorite to go over at minus 125. 2 out of the 3 sites, people are taking the under despite the projections, despite the last 3 games where he's dropped double-digit assists in 3 straight. But again, the matchup, not a sexy one. And it looks like it's going to be a blowout. So that could impact things. If this game does get out of hand with Jazz being so injury-riddled, then maybe CP3 doesn't hit 10 or more dimes. Hard though. It's hard to take the under on a guy like Garland or Chris Paul with their hot streak when it comes to the assist category. Daniel Hernandez believes that Chris Paul will hit his assist prop. Wow. Okay. Papiga saying, because of Lauri Markkanen being out, there will be more assist opportunities and usage. Interesting. Said doesn't believe that the Jazz and Suns will blow out. You think it's going to stay close? Delvin, what's happening? He says he's late. He's going to have to hit the replay after the rest of the live show. No problem, man. Zach's going to be a part of the replay gang as well. No problem with that. No problem with that. All right. So we talked about a couple of the dime droppers here. Guys who've been hitting at a pretty high hit rate. Garland and Chris Paul, both of them in very, very difficult matchups tonight. All right. Very difficult matchups tonight. What about this guy? SGA. He's another guy that's been getting it done. 5.5 assists over the last 10 games. Pretty easy for him to get it done. 70% hit rate over the last 10 games at 5.5 assists. Looking at the last 5 games here, an 80% hit rate while averaging 6.2 dimes per game. So maybe SGA is in play. Let's go look at this matchup. Hard to really nail down where SGA kind of falls in line in terms of a position. Is he a point guard? Is he a shooting guard? Is he a small forward? Numberfire has him listed as the three spot, the small forward spot. But he does a lot of the primary ball handling and playmaking and running the offense. So kind of hard, like I said, to really put this guy into a single position, single box. So let's look at point guard, shooting guard, and small forward. Just see how the Chicago Bulls have done in the assist category across those 3 different positions. So starting things off with Chicago and point guards, they're giving up about 9 dimes per game to opposing point guards. I like that. That puts them toward the top of the list here, right? Which is a good thing. They're giving up 9 assists. He needs 6. So I think there's some upside if you consider him to be kind of the primary guy, the point guard for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Looking at the shooting guard position, Chicago giving up about 4.6, 4.7 assists per game. Not as quite as many assists as point guards to shooting guards, but still puts them toward the top. So it's more about ranking for me than number. And we look at the small forward position, they're giving up 5.6 assists per game, which is the second most. So I would say across the board here, whether you're point guard, shooting guard, or small forward, whatever you classify SGA as, the matchup against the Chicago Bulls looks pretty good on paper. All right. So let's head over here to the prop projections for SGA. I've got him projected for 5.7 dimes, slightly more than 5.5. And then 3 different sites, 3 different books. I'm seeing odds of -125 as high as -135 on the over for this prop. So he's not blowing it out of the way by any means. When he does go over 6 assists, 7 assists, he's not dropping 8, 9, 10 dimes or anything like that. But I think the matchup is good enough here across point guard, shooting guard, small forward in terms of how many assists that the Bulls are giving up to those positions. I think it's good enough for us to consider SGA as an overplay. Otherwise, there's not a lot of other assist props that are standing out in terms of high hit rate guys. So we're going to have to take a look at some of this injury news. Is Zach LaVine going to be in? How will that impact DeMar DeRozan? Is Brandon Graham going to be in? How will that impact the likes of Josh Hart? We know Brandon Ingram is already out, right? Devontae Graham. Did I say Brandon Graham? Devontae Graham, Brandon Graham, defensive end, Philadelphia Eagles. That's my team. That's probably where I got Brandon Graham from. Devontae Graham is going to be a game time decision. Brandon Ingram is already out. Maybe Josh Hart finds more assists as a result. All right, so there's a lot of pending news out there, So let's go to PRA, points, rebounds, and assists. We're not getting the value plays like we've been getting over the last few days where PrizePicks has come in a point under a lot of these sports books, right? So we talked about liking Garland across points, rebounds, and assists. Well, who do you think I'm going to talk about first here? It's going to be Darius Garland at 33.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Because over the last 10 games, he has gone over in 7 out of 10 games. That's a 70% hit rate. 70% hit rate. And then we look at the last 5, obviously, 70 jumps up to 100%. And he's averaging 41.2 points, rebounds, and assists in that span. So he's been absolutely smashing. But as I mentioned before, this game has a low total. It's going to be a slow-paced game. So it may be a little bit more difficult for Darius Garland. Now, what we can do here, go to the point guard position. We'll go to the New York Knicks. You can see they're giving up about 26 points per game over the last 7 games to point guards. They're giving up about 6 rebounds per game over the last 7 games to point guards. And they're giving up about 7 assists per game to point guards. So you kind of add those up, real quick math. You got 13 plus the 25. You're looking right about 38 to 39 PRA to opposing point guards over the last 7 games. I think if anything, you could see his assists maybe dip, and maybe a more than normal, a big chunk of his PRA is going to come from points. This could be like a down assist game, but maybe an up game for his points. Just based on the matchups here, how New York has been doing against point guards over the last 7 games. So when you add all these averages up, it looks pretty good versus this 33.5. Now, that's not to say that he's going to get everything here. He's not going to get all 25, 6, and 7. All right, there's other point guards on the team, obviously, for Cleveland. But he will get the lion's share, the bulk of what the Knicks allow per game to point guards. Now, his PRA, his projection is at 32.1, which is less than 33.5. But we're seeing him on 2 different books, 2 different sites. 33.5, a betting favorite to go over at minus 120 odds. So, going to be a slow-paced game. Matchup, not the greatest. But the hit rates are outstanding, right? Are you going to go back to Darius Garland? I definitely wouldn't take the under here. I would either fade it or I would take the over. Kind of like my man Said was saying earlier about Jared Allen. You're not going to take the under on Jared Allen. You're either going to take the over or you're going to fade, right? And I kind of think Darius Garland fits into that tonight. We got another super chat from a man, David. David says, CJ, sometimes Julius Randle is wonky on me. Yeah. Raise your hand if you agree that sometimes Julius Randle is wonky on you too. I'm in that Julius Randle is wonky boat. Can you do a PRA game log for Randle without Mitchell Robinson? Absolutely. Of course I can, man. Of course I can for you. I have come to learn that if my man David, a.k.a. Hoodat, if you're in Discord, if my man David is talking about a pick or a play, it's for a good reason. And that we must give David some consideration here. So he's asking about Julius Randle's PRA, specifically without Mitchell Robinson. We're not sure if Mitchell Robinson's in or out, right? I don't think we have any official news on that just yet. Do we? If we do, my apologies. I'm here doing this live show for you. I can't stay on top of the news and do what I do for you guys. I'm trying to pull some PRA numbers here on Julius Randle off screen. I don't have any. So we're going to have to use StatMuse for this. So let's do that. So we'll go, turn caps lock off. Julius Randle points plus rebounds plus assists without Mitchell Robinson logs. All right. You see he's at 32.5. Now I won't go back too far in time. I won't go back too far in the past. Let's just stick to this season. 3 games from this season. 46 PRA against the Philadelphia 76ers, which is a lot more than 32.5 47 PRA without Mitchell Robinson against the Bulls, and 41 PRA for Julius Randle against the Lakers without Mitchell Robinson. So 3 games, all from the month of November, no Mitchell Robinson. Julius Randle was crushing his PRA. Now lately, Julius Randle's been kind of hard to trust. He's been kind of hard to trust. He is wonky. All right, you're not speaking out of turn when you call Julius Randle wonky. Let's look at his PRA though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games. He has gone over in 3 out of his last 5, which is what we see here on PrizePicks. Let's go back a little further. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to his 10 game. Things get a little worse. 2 out of 5 in that span. So overall, he is 5 out of 10. 50% hit rate. Not the most consistent dude on the block, right? When it comes to hitting this PRA number. But as to your point, if Mitchell Robinson's out, maybe Julius Randle's PRA is better than normal. It sure looked like it, right? If we go back to the previous screen, without Mitchell Robinson, 46, 47, and 41. 3 games from this season, Mitchell Robinson out of the lineup. He is covered very easily at 32.5. So it's going to be pending Mitchell Robinson. Just like we talked about Devin Booker's rebounds, pending DeAndre Ayton is out. Well, same thing here with Julius Randle. Pending Mitchell Robinson's not in the lineup, then maybe we go here. Maybe we take Julius Randle over 32.5 PRA. So let's get a projection for you. Let's see what Fantasy Labs, Action Labs has to say. They've got Julius Randle going for 36.7 PRA against the Cavaliers. That's a whole lot more. That's like 4.2 difference. That's a lot. That is not a small number by any means. That's a pretty big edge if we are to believe the action projection tools by Fantasy Labs. At 33.5 PRA, he is a point higher. So we did find a little value here. Point higher on most of your sports books versus where he's at on PrizePicks at 32.5. So we're getting a point of value. He's a point lower on PrizePicks. Even sweeter, especially if Mitchell Robinson's out, right? Let's keep that a secret between us. Let's keep it a secret between us. Don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody. Keep it a secret. Keep it quiet. We're waiting on Mitchell Robinson news. Mitchell Robinson's ruled out. We pounce. I think that's fair. Last but not least, let's take a look at this matchup against the Cleveland Cavaliers. We'll go to the power forward spot. All right. Cleveland giving up about 19.5 points per game over the last 7 games, about 10 rebounds per game, but just 2.2 assists per game. So we kind of add those up real quick, about 31 to 32. But we know Julius Randle, he's an above average assister at the power forward position. Now I like to also look at the center position and just see how Cleveland has done over the last 7 games in PRA against the center spot, because sometimes Randle slides over to the center spot, and especially if Mitchell Robinson's out, I would expect him to play more minutes at the 5 potentially. So we got 16 there, 13 there, so about 29 to 30 between those two averages. And then we sprinkle in some assists, he's at about 32. So it's kind of the same whether you're power forward or center, about 32, 33-ish per game. Decent matchup. So hopefully that helps answer your question a little bit more, David. I think I'm with you. If Mitchell Robinson's out, we go Julius Randle over PRA. C. Chav is saying, skip Randle. Never playing Randle again. Listen, I'm with you. We talked about it. David mentioned it too. Randle can be wonky at times. But listen, if Mitchell Robinson's out, we got to take advantage, right? Some of you guys were talking about maybe some RJ Barrett. We can look into RJ Barrett as well without Mitchell Robinson. Let's just do it real quick while we're here. Why not? That's what we're here for, right? Dig into some of these things. RJ Barrett without Mitchell Robinson's PRA this season. Now he's at 27.5. He has gone over 27.5 once out of 4 games without Mitchell Robinson this season. So the hit rate's a lot better for Julius Randle. I would say that Mitchell Robinson's absence from the lineup impacts Julius Randle way more in a positive way way more positive impact for Julius Randle than RJ Barrett. Fair? All right. What other PRA superstars are waiting for us out there today? We talked about Darius Garland. I guess we could talk Jarrett Allen a little bit. 26.5 PRA. He's covered this in 6 out of 10 games. 60% hit rate over the last 10. 60% hit rate here in the last 5 as well. Averaging 27.4 points, rebounds, and assists. So one way that we can kind of quickly look at this is we've got the center position pulled up. Last 7 games pulled up. We scroll down to the New York Knicks. And you can see they're giving up 21.5 points to centers, 11 rebounds, and about 2 assists. So we kind of just quickly add those numbers up. That's about 32, 34 PRA to opposing centers over the last 7 games. So that doesn't mean he's going to get all 34, 35 PRA, right? But it means that there's some upside here in this matchup at just 26.5. He needs just 27 PRA. So I think Jarrett Allen could be worth a look. Let's go ahead and pull up a projection for Allen. Got him projected for 27.6. Now listen, this is one of those weird ones. He's at 26.5 PRA on PrizePicks, but he's at 25.5 PRA on your sportsbook. So again, they have taken the high road, a higher number on Jarrett Allen, which leads us to believe that maybe we should be thinking about the under on Jarrett Allen at 26.5 PRA. They want us to, maybe they're baiting us or luring us into considering going under here. So instead of us getting a lower number on PrizePicks, where the sports books are typically higher by about a point, it's the opposite. Kind of like it was for Garland's assists. We're getting a higher number on PrizePicks, a lower number out on sports books, which means it's kind of like, should we be thinking about the under here at 26.5 PRA? So tricky, but yeah, projected for 27.6 PRA. Jay Brown wants to know, do I see any projections going up from now until tip-off? Do I see any projections going up? I mean, I don't know. I mean, if there's injury news, then yes, projections will absolutely change. They'll go up, they'll go down, depending on who's in, who's out. So, yeah, for sure. Things could definitely shift on you. Travis H says, what up, CJ? Happy Monday. Let's get some winners, baby. Appreciate that. Appreciate everybody who's just now getting in here. Listen, you can always hit rewind on this thing. YouTube allows me to set this up as like a DVR, so you can rewind. You can fast forward. You can just watch the whole replay from the beginning if you missed anything early on. But I appreciate everybody being here. Please, let's keep running those likes up. We're trying to get to 100 likes before hashtag replay gang gets their hands on this. We're sitting at 91 right now. 91 likes. I know there's got to be a couple of you out there who haven't hit the like button yet. Let's get to those triple digits, 100 or more likes. That way the replay gang just comes in with the broom, sweeps up the rest for us, right? I'm taking the over on 100 likes before the live stream ends. I think we could get there, folks. Oh, look at that. Look at that. That was quick. We smashed it. Sheesh. Love that response, guys. Thank you so much for that response. That was easy. You guys made that super easy. No sweat. A no sweat bet going over 100 likes with the hashtag live stream gang. Love it, folks. I love it. All right. We talked a few different PRAs. Let's go to some three-point shooters. Who's been taking and making from beyond the arc lately? We're looking at the last 10 games. Who's been the shooters, the snipers out there? Let's figure it out. Do we trust this young man? Cam Johnson. Listen, something that you gotta look at here. Between January 8th and January 17th, there was a gap. There was a time where he was sitting out for the Phoenix Suns. So since making his return to the Suns lineup back on January 17th, Cam Johnson not shooting the basketball so well. I don't know why. We know he is historically a good shooter, but since coming back into the rotation for the Suns, has not been shooting very well. 0 against the Spurs, 1 against Dallas, and 2 against Indiana. Now we're seeing his number up at 2.5. No Jay Crowder tonight. That is worth mentioning. No Jay Crowder for Phoenix. Cam Johnson should get more run, should get more playing time. But do we believe in him? Do we trust him? Over the last 10 games, he's covered 60%, but over the last 3, he's 0 for 3 since making his return to the Phoenix Suns lineup. Let's take a quicker look at this. I want to go Cameron Johnson. 3 p.m. without Jay Crowder. Logs. All right. Things are looking pretty good. They're looking pretty good here over the course of this season. This is without Jay Crowder, mind you. Without Jay Crowder in the lineup. Going back to December 27th. All right. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 total game logs. Jay Crowder out of the lineup for Phoenix this season. And out of those game logs, he has covered 2.5 in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 out of 6 games. 5 out of 6 games. If he's ever going to get right, if he's ever going to have an opportunity to go back over 2.5 3-point makes, maybe it's tonight without Jay Crowder in the lineup. You can kind of see how his minutes fare without Crowder this season. Played 36 back on December 27th. 23, didn't get a whole lot of run there. So he failed to go over. It's kind of important to look at. Played 23 minutes, had just 2 3-point makes, so that probably impacted him quite a bit. But in the games without Jay Crowder where he's played 30 or more minutes, this guy's 5 for 5 at covering 2.5 3-point makes. Plays 36 minutes, drains 4. Plays 34 minutes, drains 4. Plays 30 minutes, drains 3. 35, 5. And 35, he makes 4. So what do we think his minutes are going to be like tonight? I've got it projected for 32 minutes, according to Fantasy Labs. So that's good, because if he plays at least 30 minutes or more this season without Crowder, he's a perfect 5 for 5 in covering his 3-point makes. Very interesting. Maybe he's worth taking a shot on. Let's pull up a projection. I got him projected for 2.9 3-point makes going up against a beaten and battered Utah Jazz team. They just won't be the same if all of those guys that we talked about, Mike Conley Jr., Bogdanovich, Donovan Mitchell, if all of those guys are out, then I think this matchup gets a whole lot easier for Cam Johnson here. But projected for 2.9 3-point makes at 2.5 3-point makes out on your favorite sports book. Pretty big odds, minus 140 betting favorite to go over 2.5 3-point makes. Like I said, if there was ever a day for him to finally get right since returning back to the lineup on January 17th, this would be the time, right? No Jay Crowder, an increase in minutes, an increase in opportunities, a good matchup against a Jazz team that's going to be missing a lot of their starters, potentially. Got to wait on the news. This could be a get-right spot for my man, Cam Johnson. CJ. I'm CJ, he's CJ. It's like we're brothers. Small forward position. Going and looking at this Utah Jazz team over the last 7 games, how many threes are they giving up to opposing small forwards? Well, we go all the way down here, 2.2 3-point makes over the last 7 games. Now, again, they're going to have a lot of guys potentially out tonight, so maybe this number goes up against Phoenix. And just looking at the shooting guard spot, that's more Devin Booker's role, but we're going to look at it anyway. Utah against shooting guards giving up about 3.4 3-point makes. So maybe we look his way. Maybe we look Devin Booker's way. We can dig into his game logs too. Obviously, Cam Johnson sporting a very good 3-point make. No, Fantasy Pros is not a sponsor. No, it's Fantasy Pros is free. You can go pull this up for free. I like this tool a whole lot. I am not sponsored by Fantasy Pros. In fact, I'm not sponsored by Fantasy Labs either. They let me use their tools for free, though. You know, I make content for them, so I ain't mad at it, all right? But I ain't sponsored by them, by no means. Anyway, let's look at Devin Booker's 3-point makes without Jay Crowder. Loving the Cam Johnson hit rates this season without Crowder. Let's take a look and see how Booker does without Crowder. Ooh. it's not looking quite as good. He's got to make 3 or more to go over. So he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 game logs. He's gone over in 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 6. Not terrible. Not terrible. And he's coming off of a bad game against Indiana and against Dallas. Back-to-back bad games. 1 3-point make against Dallas, 0 against Indiana. Come on, Book. You got to get right at some point, right? Is it going to be tonight? Could be. Got him projected for 2.4 3-point makes, and he's a betting favorite at minus 130, minus 135. Betting favorite to go over 2.5. So who are you liking more out of these 2 Phoenix Suns players? Chat, I would like to know what you're liking. Are you liking Devin Booker at 2.5 3-point makes? Cam Johnson over 2.5 3-point makes? Arcerio, I'm not offended whatsoever. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, and I respect your opinion. If you think that this analysis is bad, that's okay. I win money with this analysis. I win other people money with this analysis. So I don't know what you mean, like what's bad about it. We're looking at numbers. How do you argue against numbers? Hey, you're not going to make everyone happy in this world. That's one thing that I've come to realize real quick. There's always going to be some people out there who just don't like it, man. They just don't like it. You're not going to make everybody happy. Free throw makes, the final category here, folks. Who's been hitting their free throws at a high hit rate? Well, tough to tell, but as we've talked about in previous live streams, in terms of free throw makes, you know who I'm going for. I'm going for the guys that are going to have the ball in their hand in the most important, crucial times of the game. So I want guys who, when the intentional fouls start coming out, they're going to be the ones that are going to be getting the basketball. I want the guys that are going to be being aggressive. So sometimes Julius Randle, for me, he's too happy, too camp happy at the 3-point line. He's not aggressive enough. So I don't know that I love taking Julius Randle's free throw makes a lot of the games, but a guy like Darius Garland, high usage rate, who's going to have the basketball in his hands. If it gets down to a technical foul situation, Garland's probably going to be the guy who's going to shoot the shots for Cleveland. If it becomes a late game intentional foul situation, Darius Garland's going to be the guy getting the ball in his hands. They want him at the line because he's a high percentage free throw shooter, a high usage guy. So SGA probably fits that mold as well. I don't know about DeMar DeRozan, especially with Zach LaVine coming back. So not a lot of options, not a lot of different ways to go here for free throw makes. But there you go. Yeah, that's my dog in the background, folks. That's definitely my dog. So that's it. What questions, what picks, what plays do you guys have that you're wanting me to look at? We've talked points, rebounds, assists, PRA. We've talked 3-point makes, free throw makes. So you guys let me know what you're liking. I'm sorry that the analysis isn't good for everyone. My apologies. Can't please them all, can we, folks? Rory saying, I won $1,600 since last Friday listening to you. Keep up the good work. Well, listen, man, I appreciate that. Yeah. If you think that there's something wrong with the analysis and we are going the wrong way or going about the analysis in the wrong way, listen, you can always fade me if you think that I'm saying go over and you're like, no, I don't agree. Well, there's also another option. It's called the under. You can always go under too. So, I don't know. Like I said, not going to make everyone happy. So I apologize to those who are not finding anything of value out of this. All right, now that we got some questions in here, let's see what you guys are talking about. So we talked about some Darius Garland PRA. So I see someone saying DG's fantasy points in play. Yeah, you could definitely go DG fantasy points. JY2234 is asking about RJ Barrett's rebounds. RJ Barrett's rebounds at 6 boards. Let's take a look at it. I can see why you're liking it. 12 rebounds against Charlotte, 6 and 6, 2 pushes, and then 14 against the Clippers. So 4 out of 5 games, 80% hit rate at 6 or more boards, averaging 8.6. Now, a lot of this average, of course, being inflated by the 12 rebounds against Charlotte, the 14 against the Clippers. Okay. So it's a little bit, the number 8.6 is a little bit inflated. But you're asking about the rebounds against Cleveland. RJ, kind of that shooting guard, small forward position. They got a lot of guys who kind of fill that role. You got Burks, you got Fournier, you got RJ Barrett. So it's kind of tough to see like, oh, he's the shooting guard, or hey, he's the small forward. But we're going to look at a number of different positions, both shooting guard and small forward against Cleveland. Cleveland in the last 7 games, they're giving up 5.5 rebounds, which puts them down toward the bottom in terms of matchup. DVP, defense versus position, giving up just 5.5 rebounds to the shooting guard spot. Looking at the small forward position, Cleveland giving up about 5 rebounds per game. That is the first fewest over the last 7 games. First fewest over the last 7 games. All right. Pulling a projection for RJ Barrett's rebound prop. I got him projected for 6.1 boards. He's at 6.5 on 3 different books, 3 different sites. Betting favorite, though, at 6.5, minus 140 to go under, which is why PrizePicks has gone ahead and bumped him down from 6.5 down to just 6. Okay. Projected for 6.1. He's sitting at 6 right now on PrizePicks. Matchup doesn't look great for him, which is why I think a lot of people are betting the under. So if he was at 6.5 for me, I'd probably lean toward the under as well in a low-scoring game. Maybe he gets a little bit of a boost, though, without Mitchell Robinson around. Let's see, what else are you guys liking? Dan T says, smash the like. We smashed the bookies at PrizePicks over the head with this cash. Yeah, love that. Love that. Someone was definitely at the door, Magic, and I got myself he's a Beagle / Hound mix. So in terms of like volume, his voice, he's got a big old bark on him. He's got a big old voice. King United says Jonas Valanciunas without Sabonis. What are you liking about Joe Val specifically though? PRA? Are you liking fantasy points? Or is there a single stat that you're liking? I will just, for easiness here, his fantasy score is, his projection is 39.5, which is under 41. Under 41. Indiana, though, we saw the likes of like Kevon Looney absolutely feast against Goga Bitadze the other night. So if Kevon Looney can do it, can't Joe Val? Indiana over the last 7 games giving up nearly 65 fantasy points per game. And then you get yourself a quality big man like Jonas Valanciunas tonight in a very good, very plus matchup. Yeah, I think the over on Joe Val could definitely be in play. A couple of folks are mentioning SGA. I'm seeing SGA fantasy points. A couple of you liking some SGA fantasy points at 41. Yeah, his last 5 games have been good. 4 out of 5. 4 out of 5. Let's look at this matchup against Chicago. Chicago Bulls giving up about 51 fantasy points per game over the last 7 games. So there's definitely some upside for SGA at the point guard spot. Let's look at the shooting guard spot. Chicago, 37 fantasy points. Not quite as good there. And just for fun, the small forward position, they're giving up 50 fantasy points per game to small forwards, which is the first most. So he's kind of a point forward, right, for OKC. So small forwards over 50 fantasy points, point guards over 50 fantasy points. So Chicago, this matchup against the Bulls, looking like a good one. I'm with you on it. I'm with you on some SGA tonight. Let's look at the projection here. We got Alexander Walker and Gilgeous Alexander. I got him projected for 41.2 fantasy points. And he's got a fantasy rating of 81.7. So not bad there. 81.7 out of 100. Zach, you can join Patreon down in the description below. I would recommend you may want to hold off to get the most bang for your buck for February 1st, because if you join now, it will charge you upon joining, and it will automatically charge you upon the 1st of next month. So be careful. We got a super chat from Nick. Nick is saying, Justin Holiday over fantasy points. Keep up the great work. Thanks for the Patreon picks with the little cash emoji. Well, I appreciate it, Nick. Thank you so much for the support. Justin Holiday over fantasy points was mentioned. Justin Holiday and my man Chris Duarte have been balling with a lot of the injuries to the Indiana Pacers. We already know that it's going to be pretty thin once again for Indiana. No Malcolm Brogdon, no Sabonis, no Miles Turner for Indiana. So guys like Justin Holiday, Duarte will be in a much, much more featured role. More usage for them, more opportunities. So 21.5 fantasy points he has covered in 5 straight games. That's a 100% hit rate, averaging nearly 30 fantasy points per game in that span. Justin Holiday, got him projected for 21.1 fantasy points. So PrizePicks pretty much on the ball here, on point with their fantasy score. This is a sharp line, in other words, a sharp line. Now let's look at the matchup. Maybe there's some upside against New Orleans. We already know Brandon Ingram is out. Devontae Graham potentially could be out as well. So maybe the matchup becomes a little more friendly for Justin Holiday. So him and Duarte kind of split time on those wing positions. I mean, shooting guard, small forward, interchangeable. I think they're interchangeable. Looking at the fantasy score allowed by New Orleans Pelicans to the shooting guard spot over the last 7 games, giving up 36 fantasy points, which is a tough matchup on paper, 6th fewest in that span. Looking at the small forward spot, New Orleans allowing a lot more fantasy points to opposing small forwards, the 4th most, 45.5, we'll call it, 45.5 fantasy points. So my man Justin Holiday needs just 22. I think there's some upside here for him. So Nick, I ain't mad at that, bud. I ain't mad at that pick whatsoever. Duarte, do fart, do not fart. Let's look at David. I think we talked about Chris Paul. David dropped another super chat in here. He was asking about CP3's rebounds this season without Crowder. Chris Paul's rebounds this season without Jay Crowder. I thought we looked at that. I was pretty sure that we did when we talked about Devin Booker's rebounds. Just for those who may have missed it, we can go ahead and look at it again. So we'll put in Chris Paul rebounds without Jay Crowder logs this season. He's at 4.5. He is covered in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 games this season without Jay Crowder. Chris Paul has covered 4.5 rebounds. 6 for 6. 6 for 6. Maybe it was Ayton that I looked at. I don't know. Regardless, though, yes, CP3 without Jay Crowder looking pretty good here at 4.5 boards. 6 out of 6. Do you think he keeps it up tonight against the Utah Jazz, though? That's the question. That is the question. He does have one previous game log. Now, this is going back to August 8th of 2020. Without Jay Crowder in the lineup, he pulled in 7 boards against Utah there. You know, take that with a grain of salt. But April 30th, 2021, so this was last season without Jay Crowder. He played just 21 minutes for whatever reason, ended up with 3 boards. So obviously his minutes were definitely a big reason why he could not cover that prop, playing just 21 minutes. So we'll kind of throw that one out. But yeah, overall from this season, perfect record of covering 4.5 boards without Jay Crowder. I'll pull up a projection for you. Chris Paul, 4.2 projected rebounds. 3 different books, though. 135 over, minus 140 over, and even a minus 145 betting favorite to go over. So I'm with you, man. Both him and Devin Booker's rebounds have been pretty good. With Booker, you run into the risk of potentially pushing. Maybe you go Chris Paul instead. With the 4.5, you don't push. The push can be a good thing, though. Could be a good thing. So appreciate that super chat from both David and my man Nick. Let's go ahead and see what else you guys are talking about here. Papiga saying it's Goga season. Over on all stats for Goga Bitadze. Goga, my man Goga. Let's take a look at his fantasy score. The last couple of games been pretty good. 34.2 against Phoenix, 32.3 against Golden State. And I think that game against Golden State was the one where he got ejected? He ended up getting ejected toward the end of the game, but he had already covered 30.5 fantasy points prior to getting ejected. So that number would have been even higher against the Warriors had he finished the game. And unfortunately, his ejection ended up impacting Kevon Looney, because they pulled Looney off the floor after Indiana ended up going very small ball. And Looney was just falling all over the court. He couldn't deliver a simple handoff to his guards. Anyway, Goga Bitadze, last two games, 32.3 fantasy, 34.2 fantasy points. So we're looking at this matchup against the New Orleans Pelicans. I know we like the Joe Val side of things going up against Bitadze. Do we think there's any chance that Bitadze ends up in foul trouble? Do we think there's any chance he ends up in foul trouble? Maybe Jonas Valanciunas gets Bitadze into some foul trouble. Looking at this matchup here, New Orleans against centers over the last 7 games. They're giving up just 48 fantasy points. Now, the number doesn't sound low when you compare to the 30.5 that he's projected for today, but for me, it's more about the ranking. They're one of the bottom 6 or top 6 in fantasy points allowed. They're allowing the 6th fewest fantasy points per game over the last 7 games to opposing centers. But there is some upside here with 48.3 fantasy points allowed on average, and he just needs 31. I would say that there's some upside. Let's pull a projection up for Bitadze here. I got it projected for 35.8 fantasy points according to Fantasy Labs. 35.8. He's got a ceiling of 50 fantasy points. So I do think that there's some upside at just 30.5. Maybe you take him and you take Jonas Valanciunas. Do a little same game parlay. Same game parlay. Zach says, where can I join the Patreon? Every time I listen to you, I go positive. Well, that's good. That's good. I mean, maybe we're doing something right around here. Jimmy Green says, what about Josh Giddey's boards? He's let me down a couple of times. Ooh, Josh Giddey. I know in the past he's been a great rebounder. And he's got some games here in his last 5 game logs where he's crushed 6.5 rebounds. 10 against Cleveland, 11 against San Antonio, and 9 against Charlotte. So he's got 3 out of his last 5 games where he's has gone over 6.5 rebounds. I'm just going to quickly pull a projection up, being that we are about an hour and a half in. We're going to start winding things down here, but I got him projected for 6.9 boards. We're seeing him out on 3 different books, 3 different sites, minus 140, even as high as minus 145 betting favorite to go over against the Chicago Bulls. Well, I think game log analysis shouldn't be the end all be all, which it's not. We're looking at, beyond the game logs. I don't know if you missed maybe the start of the show when we kind of talked about, the totals, the spread. We're looking at some projections here. We're looking at scenarios when guys are in or out. How does that impact others? So, yeah, I mean, the game logs, you want to take somebody who has shown the ability to cover their prop or an inability to cover their prop. It's kind of the starting point for me, a way to filter out some of the other players. So with all these different players, all these different props, it's a lot of noise, right? So it's a good way to start the research. Who's been hitting at a high rate? Who's been hitting at a low rate, right? That you kind of start from there and then you dig in a little bit deeper. This is a very high level, by the way, to anybody who's watching maybe for the first time. Very high level. This is not to be the end all be all of your research. This is just to get things going, get the gears moving, get the juices flowing, right? To be the catalyst to the start of your research, not to be the end all be all. All right. So hopefully you guys go and do a little more independent research. Elijah, what's happening to you? You're late, but you're not in trouble. All right. You're not tardy or anything. You're not tardy. So let's see what else you guys are talking about before I get up out of here. Our Serio inputs influence outcomes. So if you can model correctly and weigh the variables without the correct magnitude, you sound a lot like this guy that I met the other day. What was his name? I think his name was Willie. Willie Hoops. It's funny, we haven't heard from Willie Hoops in a while. Wonder how Willie's doing. Juan says, he should remove himself if he doesn't want to be here. He's blowing my high. Listen, you'll never hear from that guy again. Our Serio or Willie Hoops, you'll never hear from him again. You guys say goodbye. He's gone. You'll never hear from those guys again. Aren't you happy? Didn't your day just get a little bit better? You'll never have to hear from those guys again. Gone forever. Out of our lives. They can go talk amongst themselves and be friends. What we're doing here is having fun, building community, talking player props, helping each other win. So, yeah. Don't worry, guys. We'll keep those crabby little apples out of here. All right, folks. I'm going to get out of here. Hour and 32 minutes. Listen, it's a 4-game slate. There's a lot of these games that are looking pretty ugly. Truth be told, not feeling great. Not loving anything over the top, over the moon on any of this stuff. So just go light, Take it easy. Pace yourselves tonight. There'll be more games tomorrow. Big slate tomorrow, I believe. So I'm going to get up out of here. Appreciate everybody who's supporting me. Even the ones that are negative, even the ones that come in and say, oh, you suck. Oh, man, this is terrible. Oh, boy, the analysis. It's bad. Listen, you people are telling me you're making money, okay? That's all I care about. So we're getting to the money. All right, guys. Thank you again for joining. Thank you for slapping that like button on your way out. We'll catch you tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern time. Same place, same channel. Until then, peace out.